Hello, and welcome to Tips for the Transition. I'm Maria Tomas, Keegan, your host. I'm interviewing another of the co-authors of the new book, From Resilience to Brilliance. And it's an incredible anthology of stories about women overcoming challenges and rising up in triumph. Today, my guest is Leeanne Gardner, whose story is called Unbridle Your Passion and Lead with Your Heart. Leeanne has had a love affair with horses since she was 7. At 15, her horse was sold by her parents because of their divorce, leaving her heartbroken. She learned at a tender age how to build a wall to protect herself from any more hurt. Hello, Leeanne, and welcome to Tips for the Transition.
Hello, Maria, and thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited about this.
I'm excited to have you and for you to tell this story because it's a unique one, and I would love for you just to start at the beginning and share it with us.
Okay, great. Thanks. So I'm the youngest of 6 children, grew up in Kansas, and had, as you said, I started my love affair with horses at about age 7. So every waking moment I was with the horses when I wasn't in school. And really, they were my safe haven. And, you know, if there was a mare that was due to have a baby, I got to spend the night in the dusty old tack room and smell all the horse sweat and all that stuff, and I loved it. So that really was my life. Each summer, I would go away to Fulton, Missouri, and be junior rider at a stable and get to clean stalls and live with my trainer in a nasty old trailer, excuse me, and really immerse myself in the horses. And one summer, while I was at the trainers, I got a call from my sister who said, "I'm going to come get you. You need to come home. Mom and Dad are getting a divorce." Well, in my mind, I'm like, no, I have a horse show. I'm not coming home. I'll get there when I get there, because I didn't understand. So it really led to this whole path of, wow, my whole life has now changed, because I bought a horse. I was lucky enough, actually, I should say my parents bought a horse a couple years earlier that I had been leasing from William Woods College. So he became my own. And the book goes into a little bit more detail about Doobie. So he was my first boyfriend with 4 legs and hooves. And I loved him. And so what happened with the divorce was I was very close to my father. He had a love affair with horses as well. So that was my only one-on-one time with him, being with 6 children, was the time at the barn. And so I really cherished that. But when he moved out of the house and was then going to move to California, he informed me that we had to sell my horse. So this point to me was like, what do you mean we have to sell him? You know, that just never entered my mind, because this was, you know, the one thing in life I loved. And so I shut myself off. And so I wouldn't go see my horse as much as I had before. And we did sell him. I don't even know if I said goodbye, because the pain was just so deep. So that was very, very difficult. So what happened, Dad moved to California, and then I was now 16 at the time, so junior in high school, going to high school, new school, going in through all of this turmoil. So I just kind of surrounded myself with a wall and really kind of didn't trust anybody. Mom moved to Texas, and I had the opportunity to move with her, but I wanted to stay, you know, going to high school with my friends, because that was at least my only certainty. None of my siblings were around. The one sister that was in town didn't really want, you know, a 16-year-old living with her. So it was an interesting journey, because at age 16, I'm now living with friends' parents and having to grow up really, really fast. So not only have I gone through this grief of losing my horse, but now having to kind of take care of myself. And when I made that decision, when we sold my horse, constructing the wall, I didn't want anything to do with horses. I didn't want that pain ever again. So me being, you know, the horse girl in the family, everybody would always send me things, or my cousins or whatever. Oh, look at these beautiful horses, blah, blah. And I just became numb. I'm like, nice. So I shut myself completely off to that. So my childhood room that was filled with Breyer horse models and ribbons and all of that, it was all put in a box, never to be seen again. So really, that was kind of my journey through that as a child.
How did that affect you, Leeanne, as you grew up, that wall you built?
I, not in a good way, probably, not the most healthy way. I didn't trust anyone. And so especially men, I grew up partially Catholic. My mother's very religious Catholic. And so you're really taught to shut down all of your emotions. So when I didn't really grieve through any of that, I just kind of pushed it down and was like, I'll do this myself. So being very strong and forging ahead myself at a very young age, it was great through corporate, because I started working with a couple major corporations. I did move to Texas after high school, so at age 18, and got on with American Airlines at age like 19 and was fast-tracked through management. So I think the tenacity that can be a good word and a bad word,
Yeah.
that I'd really kind of accumulated, and the drive to do it myself because I didn't trust anyone else to do it, served me very well in business. Relationships, not so much, because I didn't trust that someone wouldn't hurt me. So I didn't let anyone in. So I'm sorry to all the guys out there that I really probably hurt. Seriously, I really was probably not very nice to you. But in corporate, it served me okay.
It's so interesting. It occurs to me as I listen to your story that there are probably a lot of women out there who have left their passion behind for some reason or another. And I'll bet you've met a lot of them, huh?
Yes, I really have. And kind of the interesting thing is how I got back into my love affair with horses and dusting off that passion was fast forward 17 years from when I sold my horse. I was working for another corporation in Scottsdale, and the executive secretary had a picture of her horse on her desk. And for the first time in almost 17 years, instead of looking away, I said, wow, horses. I used to have a lot of fun with horses. And she's like, well, come out and ride. And that started chipping away at that wall. So then I kicked down the wall with both feet and got 7 horses and started showing and all that. And so once I broke down that wall and welcomed that passion back in, I would start having conversations with my colleagues in corporate about what's your passion, what lights you up. And that's, so much of what I do right now. But I started this probably in the mid-90s, and so many of them couldn't tell me what their passion was. And so my journey with the horses was I would just make people think. It's like, okay, this is what I do, and this is what that life balance means. Of find what it is that you may have built a wall up against, and go find it and re-explore what that would mean and how it would feel to you if you brought it back into your life.
Thank you for sharing that story. I love that you just told us how you kicked down that wall with both feet. And I now understand why they call you the Passionista.
Yes, I do. Yeah, if I'm passionate about something, it's all over my face.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. So for our audience, I would like you to please stay tuned for our next segment with Leeanne, as we're going to go deeper into what she was feeling and what she did about it. So please stay tuned. Till next time, I'm Maria Tomas Keegan.